We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. You know, I just don't get it. Boxing is definitely getting bizarre, and this is no exception. Bill Haney trying to convince the fans that Devin's youth and accolades and accomplishments supersede basically all these other fighters of the past. Fighters we've seen that are etched in history, remembered, and basically legends. Bill Haney, he's trying to defend his son and I guess shed some light back on them. So in this video, I'm going to break down my thoughts and let you know what I see. So mind you, the Times Square card was a failure. I've already talked about it. Turkey, he wanted to fight in the center of the street. He did it, but it really wasn't as advertised. He has advertised it and showed AI mock-ups to make it look like it was a ring in the middle of the city and everybody can just come and watch. That is not what we got. Nor were the fights rememberable, right? So to me, it was a bad event. Fans were talking bad about it, like I wasted my time. What was Ryan on, you know, or what wasn't he on? Devin didn't look good. Barbosa didn't show up. He didn't live up to the trash talk. That was like the main triple header, right? Each fight had something basically to complain about. So most fans would assume, like, get past it and move on and get ready for perhaps better and greater events to come. You know, Caleb Plant's about to fight. Jermell Charlo should be coming back. Jamal's on the Caleb Plant card. They just had a birthday. Shout out to the Charlo brothers, right? These things. But randomly, Bill Haney, he took to his social media talking about the fight that everyone else is trying to forget. It says, "Good brother Antonio Tarver, you missed more than a few things on the commentary of the telecast for Devin's last fight." Huh? Like, for starters, I mean, the fight wasn't good. It wasn't memorable. Nothing Bill Haney or the Haneyx can say is going to change my mind on that. And I'm sure many fans feel that way. So that's dead in the water. But to continue bringing up such a lackluster fight and card, I don't really understand what the point is. And you're trying to correct Antonio Tarver for some commentary that he did weeks ago, again, while everyone else is trying to really forget the whole event and definitely that particular fight. So what did he attach? Bill Haney or the Haneyx came up with some kind of PDF file they got on, I don't know, Evernote, Notion, Excel, and made like almost like a spreadsheet PDF file about, it says Floyd Mayweather versus Devin Haney versus Antonio Tarver at age 26. One sheet comparison. Like, what is really good? Like, this looks terrible, bro. And I'm not even, I'll put it on the screen. I'm not going through every single category. That's a waste of my time. I will put it on the screen. It says champions defeated by 26, and it shows Floyd Mayweather, it shows Devin Haney, and it shows Antonio Tarver. So I guess this is Bill Haney's clapback Snapple facts to try to dish on Antonio Tarver because he had commentary that was criticizing Devin Haney, as he should, because the performance was bunk, right? So this just looks dumb. And you can do whatever sheets you want. You can make all these like statistical whatever. But the reality is Antonio Tarver was in the Rocky movie with Sylvester Stallone. That was a popping moment in his career, right? where he played Mason the Line Dixon, right? So that's, you could say, oh, that's Hollywood. All right, bet. So his real career, my favorite fighter, all-time great and a legend, he knocked out. The first fight was extremely close. Roy Jones barely won. And the second fight, he came in and knocked out Roy Jones Jr. viciously. So no matter what Bill Haney and the Haneyx attempt to tell you here, that one win over a legend and someone as talented as Roy Jones Jr. is better than anything Devin Haney has done in terms of a victory throughout his whole career. He said, "You guys have anything to say?" "Yeah, Roy, you got any of them excuses tonight?" Like, that was like one of the coldest moments in boxing history. So to try to come at Antonio Tarver, you don't have a moment that supersedes or is better than that, right? The moment that people now know Devin Haney for is getting dropped in the Ryan Garcia fight. That's the cold hard truth. So to try to come for Antonio Tarver, to me, is senseless. And what does it really represent? Nobody's trying to hear, oh, Devin, had beaten X, Y, and Z former champions. What happened in that Ryan fight? How did he look in his most recent fight, right? So it just looks and reeks of desperation for the Haneys, that this is what the Haneyx, they resort to. They're resorting to, hey, everyone hated Devin's last fight, and then his fight before that, he definitely was getting roasted because of the Ryan fight and how that played out. And then Ryan ends up losing to Rolly, which looks bad. And Bill Haney's out here with like spreadsheets and documents and stuff trying to change, I don't know, I guess change the perception. It's not going to work, people. He did another one. It says, Devin Haney, the new standard by age 26. And as I always say, notice the Haneyat content creators refuse to talk about this. It hasn't been much going on in boxing news, but they refuse to talk about things like this. But let this be Tank Davis or some clickbait fake rumors, people will talk about it. So he posted this other document, and it's like Haney undefeated, undisputed in the 4-belt era, and it's Devin Haney's name pitted with Sugar Ray Leonard, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo, Roy Jones, Oscar De La Hoya, Crawford, Shakur, Tank, and Sugar Ray Leonard and Floyd and all these people. Like, come on, bro. This is truly getting sad, because I'm not even going to address Gervonta and Shakur and Terrence Crawford, this new generation of fighter. But Terrence Crawford, I will say him. You put undisputed by age 26. Terrence Crawford is the only male to be undisputed 2 times, or he was the first person, I guess, to be undisputed 2 times in boxing. Before Usyk, before anybody, it was him. And I'm not talking about Clarissa Shields, because I said as a male. So you're focused on Devin's current age, and by this age, which we'll get to in the back half, right? So this is just a very dumb argument, because your baseline is, oh, Devin did so much by age 26. Okay, Terrence Crawford, he's not age 26, but career-wise, he could say he's 2X, the first 2X male undisputed fighter, and he fought better competition than Devin Haney to this point. And nobody has fought Terrence Crawford and done what Ryan Garcia, who looked half trained, did to Devin Haney. So again, these fake like accolades and like trying to refocus the conversation, it just looks like a desperate plea to me. It really does, because you're taking a sport, you're putting all these legends' names, and you're comparing it to Devin Haney. Like, come on, bro. And the Haneyx, they have no shame. Some of them are on Twitter arguing and trying to argue that I guess Devin Haney to this point somehow has a better career than Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya. And it's not right to take someone who's active in their career and then pit them against legends whose career are over. We need to see when Devin Haney hangs him up, where is he? Because we've seen guys have good runs and then they become beat up journeymen. So it's not really even a fair comparison. And I truly loathe the whole conversation about age, because it's just a very, very shallow-minded and like kind of a obtuse, like obnoxious way of looking at the world. Let me give you an example. So for a fact, certain things were not available in prior decades. That's just common sense, right? So that's like a new director in 2025 directing a movie and he's like, yo, I shot this in IMAX. Steven Spielberg, he never shot his first movie in IMAX. Like, come on, bro. IMAX wasn't even a thing. So you have to, just like when you read these stories of the Pablo Escobars and people who had Al Capone, who had money, and all these people that have money, you have to adjust for inflation because the times are different, right? So when you're looking at Muhammad Ali's purses from the 60s or the 70s, you have to adjust that for inflation. The amount he was making in the 60s and 70s, making millions, is really equivalent to making a lot more than 8 million or whatever his purse was, because things were cheaper. To get a cheeseburger, you could get that for a quarter or 50 cents. Different times. So I'm very, very aware that things, they're not apples and apples, right? When we're talking and dealing with time, it simply put is not. It's not apples and apples. So to do this, what the Haneys are doing, to me, it looks dumb and it reeks of desperation. The reality, let's talk about, because I deal with reality. The reality is most people that I've seen did not enjoy Devin Haney's performance. You could go against Antonio Tarver and put up all these graphs and PDF files about what Tarver did and didn't do. His career is over. He is a commentator. He actually has a son that boxes. So that's neither here nor there. You're mad because Antonio Tarver spoke his mind, and he didn't do bad on commentary, for the record, right? But you don't like that it was negative towards your son. So this is what the Haneys do. And for Bill, it looks really bad because I get it. A lot of people are praising him. Oh, he's a black dad. Bro, I don't know what stereotypes you guys follow. There are a lot of great black dads. Like, that's a stereotype that black dads go to get cigarettes and never come back and all this goofy stuff. So you guys, the Haneyacks and the Haneyacks content creators, they spend a lot of time praising Bill Haney for basic stuff. I know a lot of black dads that are heavily in their children's life. I know a black dad, multiple, where they got children on the spectrum, right? Special needs. So that takes a different level of love and care from a parent to deal with a kid who is on the spectrum or has special needs. So I'm not giving Bill Haney all this credit for he showed his son the ropes or whatever. Like, it's just standard parental things that every parent should do, right? But it's the Haneyacks. The Haneyacks and the Haneyacks content creators, they act like this is some mythical magic stuff that Bill Haney is doing because he says he puts his children, you know, in positions to win. Of course, you're supposed to want your seed to succeed. But the flip side of that coin is, if you listen to anybody in boxing with the brain, most people are saying Devin's biggest kryptonite is his father. His dad is the one conjuring up beefs with YouTubers. His dad is the one taking shots at Jermel and Jamal Charlo recently. And Jamal Charlo was like, we praying for you, dog. Like, you called me asking for help with your son, and now you trying to take shots because I said something about Rolly should fight Devin. You know, get over yourself. He's immature. And I think Charlo handled it very professionally, right? He didn't fly off the handle. So if you look at most of Devin's beefs with like YouTube channels and or other boxers, a good vast majority stem from Bill Haney. Like, say what you want about Ryan Garcia, but if you listen in the build up for Haney fights, Ryan frequently says, I want to whoop the dad too. And his daddy is only making it worse. Bill is hating on me and I'm going to punish his son, blah, blah, blah. So you guys on one side, you're praising Bill Haney for, you know, saying, oh, he's a great dad, but he's also responsible for a lot of the negativity that Devin Haney receives. Devin Haney is a good kid, he seems like. He's not no hood dude. He didn't grow up in the trenches. He's came from money, had money for quite some time, and that's fine. Be you. Be who you are. He seems like a good kid. He went to homeschooling. You weren't outside in public school and stuff like that. Your pops had a vision, and that's perfectly fine. Nobody has a problem with that. But when you portray imagery of something you're not, that's where it gets a little bit rocky, right? You can't live your dad's story. I know a lot of people, their daddies was in prison or gangsters, and they valedictorians. They don't have whatever your dad did, whatever, if he caught bodies or moved weight, did prison time, I don't got nothing to do with you. My dad's a mechanic. I don't know about fixing cars like that. You know what I mean? Like my pops. So it doesn't, like, because you're of the seed and lineage and bloodline, it just transfers over. It's not how that works. So I just thought this was a bad look that Bill Haney, it reeks of desperation. That's what I keep saying. It looks so desperate. You're really putting PDF files, who I don't know who made it, and it got all these legendary fighters, Tank and Floyd and Sugar Ray Leonard and Pacquiao, all these top fighters. And the crux of your argument is, hey, but they weren't doing this when they were 26. And really think about that. What is 26? Like 26, you're really an adult. You're like you're done with puberty. Devin just had a kid. Like, you're making it sound like he fresh out the womb. Bill Haney making it sound like Devin is a child. You know, it's like really overbearing, in my opinion. Very overbearing, right? That you keep framing this as like, oh, but where was Floyd Mayweather when he was 26? How much did Floyd have in his bank account when he was? Why? Who cares, bro? Floyd made over $1 billion in the game of boxing. He made more money than your son in his total career. So why would we focus? And he's did more. He's a better fighter. He's more complete. He's a better resume. I mean, all across the board, right? His reputation is not in the mud like Devin Haney's. So what is the point of framing it like this and constantly talking about how Sugar Ray Leonard, when he wasn't 26, he wasn't undisputed and all this weird stuff? Like, it just sounds very bad. And then speaking of Sugar Ray Leonard actually was doing very well for himself. By the time Sugar Ray was about 26, he had already fought top level competition. And many people online on Twitter were calling it out. Even boxing reporter Dan Raphael, who put, before Sugar Ray Leonard was 26, he beat Roberto Duran. He had beaten Tommy Hearns and Wilfredo Benitez. So you look even dumber to include a person who's really bout it and done more than your son and actually meets the criteria if you want to be focused and laser focused on the age. Sugar Ray Leonard fought Duran, Hearns, and Benitez. Dan Rayfield said all-time greats and Hall of Famers, all by stoppage in huge world title fights, and had won a junior middleweight title and an Olympic gold medal, but okay. So once again, all y'all that keep praising Bill Haney for these antics, you are making it worse. You are making Devin look worse. The reality is what I just told you. Devin's last performance did not put anybody on notice. People were disappointed with the output. You had a dead man in there. Jose Ramirez didn't look like he was on nothing. He didn't look like he was coming with such crazy combinations where you couldn't step on him. So nothing, so you guys are clear, nothing Bill Haney says, nothing he does will change that fact. And it just looks bad when you start going this route, and it makes you look very desperate that this is what it's come to. In the square circle, I said it from the beginning. You fought Ryan Garcia and people clown you for the performance or whatnot, and that's in the Ryan Garcia fight. Cool. To get that back, what was lost in that fight, you have to beat Ryan Garcia, right? You have to clear the air. Clean fight, absolutely. Ryan needs to not test positive for anything for the remainder of his career. We definitely are about that on this channel. Clean fight. He can't pop dirty. Oh, I didn't know and all that. Cool. But he needs to get it back from Ryan. A lot of the Haneyacks rejoice that Rolly beat Ryan Garcia and dropped him. That is also corny to me, because why do you care? Devin Haney didn't do that. So it's like, I don't get it. I'm not understanding why you would rejoice that another man beat the man. You didn't do that. You didn't create that. You didn't create that opportunity. You know what I mean? So all in all, for me, all this stuff is a bad look. It is a very bad look for the Haneys, because you could tell Devin in his last two performances, really, he took a major hit. I mean, we really could talk about in his last 4 performances, 3 of them weren't impressive. Lomachenko fight, a lot of people thought he lost that fight. He did great versus Regis Prograis, who went on to lose to Jack Catterall badly and get dropped more times. So that didn't really age well, but whatever. That Regis was the only good, strong win. And then you fought Ryan. Clearly, that wasn't a great performance. And you also fought Jose Ramirez. Now, you won this fight, but it wasn't impressive. This didn't set the world on fire and show, oh, Devin Haney's back. Oh, he has no cobwebs from the Ryan Garcia fight. He's absolutely in charge and da-da-da-da. And this was that type of fight where this was your opportunity to shut up the critics. You had the perfect opponent. You had a catch weight. You had a guy who's coming off a loss in Ramirez. You have a guy who's beyond past it, hasn't looked good in a while, fighting in a new weight class, right? Because it was closer to 147. You're younger. He's older. He has more mileage on him. All these things. So for me, you had all the chance in the world to shut the critics up. You didn't impressively and thoroughly do that. So now, for me, it really feels like pure desperation, where the Haneys are attempting to control the narrative in a completely different way. You're trying to control the narrative by talk. That's not going to work well with people, right? That's not going to work. You didn't lose ground from talk. You lost ground from fighting against Ryan Garcia. That's what happened. So to make that up, you just have to have a strong performance against good competition. And Ramirez fight wasn't that. So it don't matter. It doesn't matter how many graphs and all this the daddy put up, people saw what they saw, and you can take shots at me or Antonio Tarver. We don't have nothing to do with his career. We're just assessing the performance, and it was lacking. So wanted to make this video, really dive in and unpack it, because it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. That's not how the internet works. You're not gonna go on the internet and convince people that they are wrong. That's gonna be hard to do in general. But if you are able to do it, this ain't the way. You're not gonna convince people that they're in the wrong by putting up a PDF file. And this is Bill Haney Tactics 101. Let's make a PDF file, list and clout chase a bunch of legendary fighters like Floyd, Pacquiao, Sugar Ray Leonard, and try to paint this narrative that they were like non-accomplished fighters at age 26. Omit and completely disregard what they did for boxing. Like Pacquiao to this day still might be the biggest Filipino celebrity ever, right? 8 division champion. Even him coming back to fight Mario Barrios. I believe Devin Haney, he need to, and that's the funny thing. I just seen a video where Pacquiao had a lecture and message for Devin Haney. So that's how you know it's bad. Instead of a legend looking at you like, good job. Like, for example, I'm a big movie buff. Tom Cruise, a acting legend. He's doing the Mission Impossible stuff, promoting his new movie. Michael B. Jordan pulled up, who had a great movie, my favorite movie of 2025 so far, and that was Sinners. Shout out to Coogler. Shout out to the Bay Area. Yay! And Tom Cruise said, this kid did an excellent job, Michael B. Jordan, and I'm going to work with him. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of him. So that's the opposite of what Manny Pacquiao did to Devin Haney. The legend he was asked a question about Devin Haney, and he started almost like doing a lecture about how you need to consider the fans and make sure they leave happy and entertained, right? I believe Devin Haney, he should throw more punches. That one, you know what I mean? So that's not good. You got legends like Antonio Tarver. He had his criticisms, Pacquiao, and Bill Haney thinks he can combat this by putting up spreadsheets and Excel columns and all this stuff. Compare, Devin at 26. And like I said, what makes it really seem like you're reaching and really seem desperate is the mere fact that you're acting like Devin is a little kid. Like, that's something you would do to a little kid. Like, man, my son got straight A's. You know, in the real world, when you're over like 21, 22, you're an adult man in America. You know what I mean? You're an adult man. This man is 26, closer to 30 than he isn't. And you treating him like almost like a little kid. Like, yeah, my boy did this by age 26. Floyd Mayweather didn't do that. How many cars did Floyd Mayweather have? Who cares how much money Floyd Mayweather had at age 26? Floyd got a GTA garage right now. Boxing is and will always be a what have you done for me lately type of sport. I don't care where Floyd was at age 26. I don't care how much money he had accrued at age 26. The man went on to create 24/7 and stack up his resume, beating the likes of Cotto, Maidana, De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Shane Mosley. I don't care about nothing else. And it shows you the remedial thinking of Bill Haney, that he thinks he's going to lead the public astray by talking about and shining old trophies. I don't believe in that. There's a lot of stuff that I've done and accomplished at different points. People don't care about that. What you're doing now. Imagine me just talking about like Devin being undisputed, I think it was like 3 years ago when he did that. And like, if we're really being honest, you got undisputed beating Kambosos. Like, T.O. kind of messed up the bag and had an off night. It played out like that. That's cool. Kambosos went on to not be impressive after that fight. So it's looking kind of flukish that he won. I'm not taking he won fair and square, cool. But what I'm saying is, like, this year claim to fame. So it's also a disrespect to the legends like Sugar Ray Leonard, because they come from a time where you really didn't even have a title unless you were a somebody. Like Spinks or Tyson, Larry Holmes and Foreman, Frazier. Like, you weren't really getting an opportunity. So we're in a completely different timeline now, where you seen William Skull. He didn't look unbeatable, but he was the missing link for Canelo to become undisputed again. Completely different stuff in the here and now, right? So that's another reason why I don't like these historic comparisons, because it's bogus. When Lennox Lewis, when he's fighting Klitschko, Tyson, and Holyfield, he's the best heavyweight. These new heavyweights, they're not even as good as the older heavyweights, and it's easier to come up on these belts, and you get a promoter that likes you and has some money to throw away or whatever. You might get that opportunity. A lot of politics, a lot in this sport of boxing. So this whole notion that Devin Haney is some way bigger standard, like, it's just, it sounds and reeks of desperation, right? And I don't think that Bill Haney is a forward thinker to peep this. He thinks he's helping his son, I guess you could say. And like, oh man, if I do this, then this will help, but it's really not helping, right? You're like, oh, my son beat all these champions. He beat Leonard, right? Who lost every single fight since that fight and then retired. Even when Devin fought him, he was a few fights removed from a knockout loss to Pablo Cesar Cano. And then before that, he got knocked out by Lomachenko. And he got knocked out when he was with Freddie Roach and Pacquiao earlier in his career, like 2011-ish, right? So he had been knocked out multiple times. And you're like, oh, but look, we beat a former champion. Good on you. But at the same time, like, who was he when you fought? Like, it's not the same. See, Bill Haney survives off of lack of context. He wants to put out things that, and a lot of people do this, but Bill Haney definitely does it. It's manipulative, where people will have a certain stat and it sounds good and it could be true, but they want to omit any level of context and just read off a stat to you. Like, oh, this person became undisputed. But then you do a deeper dive. Who did they fight to become undisputed? You know what I mean? And you look at the actual details and you're like, oh, okay. Now that makes a little bit more sense. Let me know what you guys think. To me, I thought this was in bad taste from the Haneys. What else is new? We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself. Especially if you're new, But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.